The heats are over. The athletes are going to be enjoying a well-deserved rest day today, although they will have to do some familiarisation on the events. I'm pretty sure no one's going to touch anything in that. But as promised, we're bringing you our predictions for the final. Quickly, let's take a look at the 10 athletes that are going to be taking part in the World's Strongest Man final.
So as you can see, here are our 10 finalists for this year. We've got Brian Shaw, Tom Stoltman, JF Caron, Konstantin Janasha, Adam Bishop, Luke Stoltman, Trey Mitchell, Bobby Thompson, Maxime Boudreau, and Ethel Ingelsson Melstead. I should probably point out that these are ordered in their best previous finishes. These are not our predictions.
So let's take a quick look at the events for the final, starting off with the Giants Medley, which, as I understand, is a yoke into a frame carry. Event number 2 is the Titans Turntable. Should be a real interesting one, and it's going to be one that's going to be hard to predict. Event number 3 is the Rain Keg Toss. Day 2 of the final, we have the Log for Max. So event number 5 will be the Knack Deadlift. It's essentially a deadlift. Knack are the sponsors. And then finally, as always, finishing off with the Atlas Stones. This time, just a traditional stone run, and I believe it finishes with a 210 kilo stone. So the Giants Medley, who do you think is going to take this one?
It's really hard to say. I think if it's, a lot of the guys struggled with the frame, and we don't know if it's the same frame from the groups going into the finals, do we?
I'm presuming it will be, and if that's the case, looking at the results from the heats, it does change maybe some of the people I would expect to do well.
Yes.
I mean, someone I really think's great at medleys most of the time is someone like Adam Bishop.
Yes.
But he struggled with the grip on the handles. The handles have been made thicker than they were in the past.
Yeah.
A lot of people in the past on this event have torn their calluses because the handles have been quite small. That suits some athletes. It doesn't suit everyone.
No.
I think it's good for Brian. I think it's good for Tom. Big guys, big hands. I think that's good for them. And looking at performances from the heats and how people have done in the past, I'm really expecting big things from Maxime on this event.
Yeah, me too. And also Tom Stoltman. And Brian Shaw, if Brian can go full out, like he really needs to go full out. He's got the advantage that if it is that frame, he will be very good at that frame, but he needs to not waste time transitioning from one implement to the other.
I don't think Brian wins the event, but I think
so.
He picks up points.
Yeah, I think he's top 3 for that event.
Yeah, I'd agree with you on that one.
So the Titans Turntable, when we first heard about it, we thought it was going to be a sort of max distance endurance event. But it's hard to describe. It's a train on a turntable, and they'll be spinning it 180 degrees. So from this position to this position, and it's going to be for speed. So although I don't think it's going to be happening quickly, it's going to be the guy who can do it the fastest.
That's interesting, making it about speed for a set distance. Obviously the way they do the Wheel of Pain at the Arnold is about strength, but it's endurance as well.
Yeah.
For someone like myself who's quite explosive, this
would
work better. I don't want to just go and go and go. I want a set distance, and I want it done as quick as possible, and I think some of the guys will benefit from that.
So we saw 2 groups do a push, a different push, but a push all the same. And from those groups, we have Trey and Ethel, who both did quite well. It's a different event. I don't think it's going to be a straight out comparison in that respect.
I think it's a real hard one to predict. I've got a feeling that Bobby Thompson does well on this. Strong legs, explosive.
Yeah.
I think Maxime as well. Maxime is an explosive athlete. You know, not maybe the biggest squatter, but he's fast, and I think that speed.
Adam Bishop could do well as well. He's fast, he's got the strong legs, he's a good deadlifter. I see Adam doing well in this.
And then does body weight make a difference? Will Brian and Tom have that advantage being so much bigger? A normal truck pull, you'd say yes. This event, it's a really hard one to predict.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, if the big names can get through this and still be in top 3, top 4 overall, they're going to be very, very pleased. So keg toss for me is a much easier one to predict. You have 2 of the absolute best tossers on the planet. I hope they realise I'm joking, but in terms of throwing events, Tom Stoltman and Brian Shaw, incredible at this type of event. And I think for Brian, the fact that this isn't about speed, it's about height, I believe they get attempts. So if they miss the first attempt, they get another attempt. I think with his methodical approach and how good he is at a weight for height type event, this is Brian's event.
Yeah, I see Brian winning this one with Tom second.
I think if Brian wants to win the contest, he needs the win on this one.
Yes, absolutely. the first event of the second day of the finals is the max log. Now, we are not expecting a world record in this event, considering everything the guys have had to do just to get to this point. But I'm very excited that we do have two of the best log lifters in the world in Bobby Thompson and Luke Stoltman in competition for this event. Tom Stoltman as well. We should still be talking about him because his log has come on massively. And I think it's because Luke's his brother, you can almost overlook that because you're looking to see what Luke's doing.
Well, Tom won the log in the final last year.
Yes.
And we have a number of other great pressers. I mean, Trey Mitchell's a great presser.
Yeah, Maxime Boudreau's a great presser.
Maxime, there's a lot of guys in this. And this is the one event that Brian, as good as he was at the overhead in the heats,
yes,
the log for Max, he's notoriously not been the best in the world. He's a great presser, but there's a lot of guys that could potentially beat him.
Yeah.
And if Tom can get a few
guys between him,
which he proved he could do last year, and if you follow his training, he's been very, very strong on his pressing. This is another event that could decide who takes the overall win.
I think it's going to be damage limitation from Brian as a priority. Same for JF Caron as well, max overhead. I think this one could hurt a little bit. But JF has got the benefit of the next event, which is the deadlift.
Deadlift, yeah. JF, a huge deadlifter, and for me, Adam Bishop. This is a battle between those two guys.
I want to throw Bobby Thompson.
I was just going to say Bobby Thompson.
Don't forget our boy Bobby.
Yeah, and Janasha as well, actually. Janasha's looking in great form. I mean, Janasha, 5 times he's been to World's Strongest Man, 5 times he's made the final. How is that for consistency?
That's very, very, very good.
And it's great to see that he's in form. If he's in, top form on his deadlift, he's a potential threat to anyone on there. And then again, it's how do Tom and how do Brian perform on this event.
Yes.
It's where the damage limitation comes in. If they can score in the top 5, I think they'll be happy. But a lot of great guys
that could mess them up by pushing them much further down the table, making it much closer at the top half of the competition, making me much more frantic on the spreadsheet.
So the final event is going to be the Atlas Stones. And again, I believe this will come down to Tom and Brian Shaw.
Yes.
I think if you look at consistency in terms of stone performances over the last few years, I mean, Brian was the best in the world at stones at one point. I think it's fair to say Tom has taken that mantle, but Brian looks hungry. If it comes down to these two for the title, which it really could do.
Do you know what I think could happen though? I think there's someone who could get in between Tom and Brian, and that's Maxime. I think he wouldn't beat Tom, but he can beat Brian. And I know that's sacrilege and people are going to hate me and say mean things.
I'm going to hate you on that one. I am going to pick...
Are you not buying it?
I'm not buying it.
Let's
as good as Maxime has performed, I'm going to pick Tom and Brian to be top 2 on stones.
I'm going to pick Tom and Maxime just to piss you
There we
off.
go. No, it doesn't piss me off. It's good. It's good to have those different opinions. I think the real battle, or the real element that will decide the winner, is not so much who wins events, it's who doesn't drop points.
Yes. Yeah, who can be the most consistent.
I think that's where the competition is won, and there's so many great athletes that can all take points off each other. I think we could potentially see a different winner of every event.
Yeah, definitely.
It's just, you don't want to go win an event, come last on an event. And I think that's where, looking at his performance in the heats, looking at his attitude coming into this competition and how hungry he is for that 5th title. I said it at the start of the competition, and I've been umming and ahhing, but I don't want to change my mind. I'm going to stick with Brian Shaw to take the 5th title.
Who is your second and third? Show your hand.
My second is Tom Stoltman.
Yeah.
I think Tom has been so impressive, and to be quite honest, he really could win this. He's looked exceptional in the heats. A couple of events like the front hold wasn't so great for him. He doesn't have to worry about a front hold in the final. These events in the final are much better for him. I think he's probably a better presser and, dare I say it, a better deadlifter than Brian currently. I think Brian's deadlift is not as good as it used to be, and I haven't seen too much of his deadlift training, so it's hard to say if he's managed to get back to his best. If he is back to his best, Brian is an incredible deadlifter.
Yeah.
But for the last couple of years, we haven't seen that. So that could be a factor. Tom's hungry. Tom looks focused and driven. I think it's going to be a hell of a battle between those two guys. And then I think third place, this really could be anyone. There's so many great guys.
I'm gonna need a name.
All right. I've been so impressed with him, and I think the events in the final suit him a little bit more. I'm going to pick... Wait for it. I'm picking Bobby Thompson.
Oh, you bastard! Bobby's mine!
Bobby has impressed me.
Yeah.
I think he's quite a calm, collected guy. You know? He's focused. He knows what he's doing. He's very, very driven on winning World's Strongest Man. You know, I've spoken to him a few months back, and his attitude really impressed me.
Get out of my head, honestly.
I thought Bobby might struggle more in the heats.
Yes, but if he could get to the final,
exactly
very,
that.
very good for him. I
So
think so too.
That's my picks for the top 3. I'm going Brian Shaw, Tom Stoltman, Bobby Thompson.
Do you want to
And I'm gonna round out the top 5 as well.
Oh, go on then.
I'm gonna go Luke Stoltman. Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna pick Maxime to beat JF. Out of the Canadians.
Yeah.
Sorry, JF. You know how much I love you, and when I say you're going to do well, you get upset with me. So hopefully it works in your favour.
Okay, interesting. Good picks. Good solid picks, and not that different to mine. But
Okay.
I have Tom Stoltman winning. I see him dropping less points on the deadlift and
Sure.
max log than Brian does. And I see him beating Brian on the first event and on the stones also. So to me, Tom wins. Now, I've put Bobby as second.
Wow.
I know.
Yeah?
I'm like, I frighten myself sometimes. Bobby in second place for all the reasons we just described. Brian in a solid third, I would
Okay.
like to point out.
Have you gone beyond third?
Yeah, but I'm not sure which order. I think Maxime 4th and Luke 5th.
There we go.
Oh, it's hard though.
Uncle Lars and Auntie Liz, very similar, a little bit different in terms of positions.
Yeah.
But we have the same top 5.
We do have the same top 5, just in different orders.
Love to hear who you guys think will be in the top 5. Remember to comment below, guys. It's going to be an amazing final. Literally 10 incredible athletes. We could be totally wrong.
Yeah,
And that's what's great about
Do you know what I don't see this year is the huge gap between the top few guys and the bottom. Like, there's some guys we haven't even talked about, like Adam, Janasha. These guys can score really well on certain events.
Definitely. It's a stacked lineup of
Yeah.
athletes. It really is. And it's going to take one mistake is going to cost someone massively. It's going to be exciting. We get a night off tonight. We need it. I'm sure you guys do too. But comment below with who you think is going to win. I hope you've enjoyed all our predictions and our analysis so far. We will be back for the final. Have an awesome weekend, guys. While you're here, guys, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of my awesome strength content.